awesome. Today I have a card slash project share for you. This is a continuation of projects that I did in January, so this is the January part 2 video. I know that it's February. I needed a couple extra days in February to finish up some of these projects because I bit off more than I can chew, so I'm still going to technically consider this the end of January, as I have yet to complete any February projects that I have started in February. So this is the place where I show you kind of everything that I've been working on here behind the scenes, or some things that I may have started and shown you and not followed up with, and it encompasses pretty much everything crafty that I've been working on. So the first thing that I want to show you is my terrible patheticness. I've been working on some children's crafts for ages 6+. I have these crazy art origami kits here because, in case you didn't know, I'm, 9 years old, and I never recovered from my Lisa Frank addiction from when I was a child. We have mermaids and friends and fantasy unicorns, and these are little origami folding kits. I've only done one, and I was so stressed out. And it was so hard that I actually had to look up the instructions on YouTube because I couldn't understand what they were talking about. The directions that you get to go with it are, they have a visual, and it also has some written description, and I wasn't understanding a little bit what they were talking about, so I actually had to look up on YouTube. And I managed to get the first unicorn done, the easiest out of all the projects, but it's just terrible. So prepare yourself to be embarrassed by the professional paper crafter here. Here's my little unicorn. Look at that poor horn. It's a mess. It's a mess. So I'm going to start over again. I got these to do with my daughter, but so far she hasn't shown any interest in actually doing them with me. She just wants to play with the things when I'm done with them. So we'll see. Again, I've only done this one, but I wanted to show you because it's probably not going to pop up again in my videos with these, because this is just a little something fun that I picked up, again, to do with my daughter on the weekends here. And I did want to show you real quick, too, that it does come with a little play mat for your children. Once you actually finish the crafts, you can play on the play mat. So that's really cute. It's really pretty, and I think maybe when we're done with it, I might actually cut this mat down and use it in some crafts. This is just the sort of like fun, colorful scene that I enjoy. Anyway, these are crazy art origami kits from, I think I got these from the Dollar Tree in ages 6+. So I'll be working on that probably starting from the beginning with their YouTube videos, so that I don't butcher it quite as bad. So the next thing that I have to show you is a continuation of what we talked about in my January part 1 crafts. I've been doing some knitting, and I'll link again below the shop where I picked up the knitting pattern. And just to warn you, this is the naughty knitting pattern that has the F word in it if you have any children in the room. I'm not going to say the word or show you the pattern, but I did complete the project. Actually, I'm going to put my little unicorn here covering the top word. I don't know if you're even going to be able to tell on camera. It says F dishes here on it. You may or may not even be able to tell on camera that that's what it's supposed to say. I'm having a hard time seeing it in real life. The first one that I did, I showed you in the last video. I used an ombre knit, an ombre yarn, and I couldn't really tell that there were any words in there at all with the knit. But we since have been using it in our kitchen, and I ran it through the washing machine and the dryer, and the cotton fibers have shrunk a little bit, and I can see it a lot better on the ombre one. So I suspect once we actually get to start using this one and wash it, and then it'll shrink a little bit into place, and you'll be able to see a little bit more. But hysterical if you do any knitting and like kind of fun, naughty vulgar gifts for friends and family. I will link that down below, but I did make another one of those, and I'm going to keep churning one out here every week or so, just to have on hand as gifts for the Christmas season coming up. So next, I have to show you that I have finally finished my January scrapbooking. And when I say January, I mean I finished scrapbooking for January 2018. So it's my goal now to not be any more than a year behind. So in January 2019, I wanted to make sure that I did all the scrapbooking for January 2018, and I finally did finish that. This is my scrapbook, and I'm not sure if the whole thing is going to show up on the screen at once, because my holder for the phone which I'm recording on is kind of close to my craft mat, and it's a really thick wire and I can't actually bend it myself, and my husband's not home to help me with that. So this is the whole thing here. And again, yes, I do realize that I'm 9 years old. This is something that I picked out. The unicorn and the rainbow. We did recently move, so we had a couple, you know, some damages to the corners of the book, but I don't care. Anyway, so the things that we had going on in January 2018 were New Year's and my sister's wedding. So I'm going to quickly back this up a little bit because I didn't think to do this before, and I'm going to skip forward ahead after I have placed some post-it notes over the faces of my siblings and their children, because I do not have permission to share those here on YouTube. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. That was poor planning on my part. I actually had meant to do that before and I got sidetracked and I guess was too excited to hit the record button to actually think about what I was going to say and do. So anyway, so here is my January 2018 scrapbook, and I started with doing this fun cover page here. Let's see, this is a family picture of me and my husband and my daughter. This was actually taken at my sister's wedding. I had a couple of family selfies and I wanted to use, we didn't have many of them in 2018 to choose from, so I wanted to use one of them as the cover. Let's see, I used, this is a Cricut file here that I cut, this little goldfish bowl. We got our goldfish in 2018, so this was kind of the year of the goldfish for the Huffman family. I thought that was a nice, appropriate, decorative little thing here. I'm just using up some scrapbook paper from my stash because I have a ton of it. I cut this from the Cricut as well, this large 2018, and actually I cut it in a different shade of orange and I didn't like it. And I couldn't get it off the page, so I cut another one the exact same size and just kind of adhered it right to the top, so you can't really even tell that the lighter orange that I didn't want is underneath it. We've embellished it with a little bit of Nuvo drops. This is good enough for me. I'm not a super expert scrapbooker. I don't really do tons of super embellished stuff, and one of my goals when scrapbooking is to make sure that everything isn't super dimensional so that everything still stays in the same book and it doesn't create an issue. So there's not a ton of embellishments in here. I did have one question though for more experienced scrapbookers, and if you can tell me, if you can leave it in the comments down below. How do you keep the pages from just popping out the top? Do you put like some washi tape over it or what? I don't know, but just I've been handling it and showing it off. You know, my daughter's looked at it a couple times and my husband has looked at it, and the pages keep shifting and wanting to pop out the top here. So how do you keep stuff from popping out? If you could let me know, I would appreciate it. Anyway, so this is the cover page that I had done. And then we move on, trying to be mindful of the fact that it's not all going to fit. This is a Cricut file here. 2018 was the Chinese Year of the Dog, and the color was purple. So I cut this huge file from the Cricut. This took a long time. This was like 45 minutes on the Cricut, just cutting this. Then I had to weed all the paper out of it. Again, just using some scrapbook paper from my stash. I printed this Year of the Dog from the Cricut. I used an Avery Elle stamp set to stamp some stars here because I thought that would be fun. And then I have sort of a coordinating page on the other side, which is our only New Year's Eve picture that we have from when the clock struck midnight. Here's a picture of my daughter, and this is my husband and I actually kissing her, and we kissed her instead of each other at midnight. This was the first year that she was permitted to stay awake for the ball dropping, so I did make sure to notate that as well here. So we wanted to, you know, we just wanted to smooch her instead of each other. I don't know. It's just a silly thing. Here's a New Year's Wishes and Midnight Kisses file that I found in the Cricut design space, and I printed it onto this fun shape here. And I have this 2018, we actually had 3 of them, 2018 paper cuts that we got last year at the scrapbook convention. My husband, my daughter, and I each got one as we were waiting in line. It was a free gift. So I stacked them all together and I heat embossed them in gold to get kind of like that fun black and gold New Year's Eve color scheme that I'm fond of. And I thought that was fun. And then coordinating with the other side here, the Year of the Dog, I have more stars that I've punched from the Avery Elle stamp set, not punched, stamped from the Avery Elle stamp set and heat embossed. And then I actually went over with my Versamarker the stars that printed, and then I covered these stars with Versamarker as well. And then I heat embossed the same gold on these so that it would all kind of match. And then these little embellishments are those great half beads from the ink road that I have tons of. Just kind of tying it all together, a little purple. This is probably one of my favorite pages. I love how simple it is. It's not overdone. So now we're moving on into my sister's wedding, and I had lots of pictures for there. I do have covering with a post-it note covering my sister, the bride's face. Her husband there, you can't really tell who he is. And then in this picture here is me with 3 of my siblings, including the bride, my sister, my other sister, and my brother. I didn't ask anybody beforehand because I didn't even think of it if it was okay if I showed these photos on my YouTube channel. So I thought it's just best to just cover everybody up. So that's what I did. And Holly is my sister and Jack is her husband. And then I have these really great tags that I found in my stash from an exchange that I did. And they have kind of like that great mint green, which I thought tied in a lot of the little rainbows that I used on the background paper. And I loved the little flowers. So I just thought that was really cute. Again, not overly embellished. It looks like I did have a... I didn't even notice this before. I did have a Nuvo drop that may have smudged as it was drying. When I let all these pages dry, I put them in our pantry on the shelves, so it's possible that something bumped up into it. So this isn't that big of a deal, but I might go in and scrape this off and fix it. And then this next side here is more wedding photos. It's a picture of my daughter and all of my nieces and nephew with my sister, the bride. And then here's another family selfie. A companion to this other photo that we used. Not quite the same shot, but from the same event, obviously. And then the next 2 pages are also for my sister's wedding, but these ones are less about my sister and more about my family. So we have my daughter on the dance floor. She loved this dress. This was her Christmas dress last year. And my sister got married in January, right after Christmas, so we let her continue to use this dress. And then this is my daughter, and then my niece, who is my sister, the bride's daughter, and you couldn't really tell who she is because the picture is so dark, so I didn't bother covering that up, but you can't really see her face in here. I can barely see it, and I'm here in real life. I'm a terrible photographer, and it was dark in here because it was on the dance floor, so some of these pictures mean nothing to me. Nothing but to anyone but me. That's what I meant to say. And here's my husband dancing with my daughter. And then I do have, they don't show it very well, but I did use a couple of my glitter stickers here to type out some words. Like I have dance over here, laugh, and then eat on this side. And then here is me and my husband. And then here is my dinner plate. The food was good. My sister had a macaroni and cheese buffet that was partially catered by a local restaurant that specializes in just macaroni and cheese. So they ordered these giant chafing dishes of like 5 different kinds of macaroni and cheese, and I tried a couple of them here. And then my mom did a lot of the catering as well. So my mom's not a caterer. She just, helping to do the reception inexpensively. And rice, and my mom made teriyaki chicken that she grilled, and rolls, and a nice salad. So the food was pretty good. Anyway, that's as far as I got because that's all we did last January. I do have some pictures that I pulled out for February to work on. And I actually have to, I did not order the right pictures. I have to go back and get some photos reprinted. February last year was the month that we got our fish. And we have 6 fish and we got them in 2 different batches. And I ordered the wrong picture, so I have 2 more pictures coming that I actually wanted to use. And then we have just, I took a lot of funny pictures last winter of our pets. So just some pet shots that I wanted to work with. And here's my daughter with my niece. Here, my niece came to visit. And then here's my daughter on Valentine's Day last year. She got her little stuffed narwhal friend, which you guys have actually seen because I showed that in a haul when I got it. And my daughter rehearsing for her play last year. That all happened last February, so we will, I will work on scrapbooking that this month from what happened last February. And then the last things that I have to show you are the cards that I made, or more accurately, I should say, finished up. And you guys probably haven't seen them, but if you have seen my Hero Arts January share kit share cards that I did with that when I used the shop front to make a bunch of different kinds of little restaurants and stores and stuff. I made other cards to go along with that at the same time that weren't using the Hero Arts kit. So when I made the, let's say for example, I made the Chinese restaurant, I stamped out a bunch of images and I still had those left over when I was done with the January kit. So I turned everything into cards. So here we go with some of the cards. And this one is using the My Favorite Things Sushi Date stamp and coordinating dies. I had a couple of little images left over. That's what you see here. That's what I do if I have images that are stamped, colored, and die cut. And if they're left over, if I don't use them, I don't throw them away. I slip them right into the same envelope here because you never know when you're gonna, need them for something. Or you pull the kit out again. It's like, hey, half the work's already done for me. Anyway, so this is the set. It's really fun. I've had it in my stash for a while. And I made 2 additional cards to go with that. I have this one here, which is Wasabi for You. And then You Are Soy Awesome. They're so cute. Now, I could not find a background paper that I wanted to use with these guys. And if you remember, I actually have it right here, so I'll show it to you. If you saw my card share from the January kit, this is the card that I made, where I was channeling a very specific restaurant that was red and had gold trim. I still kind of had that in my mind when I was working on these cards a bit later. And I couldn't find a background paper that I had wanted to use, so I made my own. And I used some of that leftover red paper that was from the same kit, and I stamped out using my Versamark ink. I stamped out this bamboo pole, just repeated in random places all over that red paper, and then I heat embossed it with the gold embossing powder that came from a Hero Arts kit. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Sometime last year, I think it may have been like the November 2018 kit. I'm not entirely sure. It was actually my first time using it because I had other gold powders sitting in my stash that I wanted to use at first, but I was naughty and used the Hero Arts one first anyway. So, and I stamped it out in Versamark, the bamboo, and then I just heat embossed it with gold, and I made my own background paper, and then I cut it up. And I wanted something to mat it with, and I couldn't find anything that I wanted to go with this, so I made my own matting with it by pressing my Versamark ink pad into the corners of just a shaped piece of cardstock, and then I poured the embossing powder on it and just heat embossed the edges. So this is just like a plain piece of white paper underneath here that has just the gold heat embossing around the edges to match the gold heat embossing on the pattern that I made. Anyway, and then I used the same gold to heat emboss my sentiment. I used a nice black cardstock just because I thought that it kind of pulled the whole look together with the black from the pandas. I just really liked the way that it looked. And again, these are the same images that I stamped and colored when I was working on the cards that I made from the Hero Arts kit. I just had them kicking around and I turned them into cards. And I did do, in my little scene here, I have the 2 pandas in the back, and I did prop up this tray here with the rice and the sushi and the soy sauce. I did prop it up with a little bit of foam just to give it a little bit of dimension, kind of for my scene here. Other than that, the only other thing that I did was I put a white panel on the inside, as I usually do with my cards that are on black cardstock, and it looked a little plain and boring. So I took this lantern stamp and I stamped it on my white cardstock, and I heat embossed it with that same gold, and then I came in with my Versamarker and just added the chords and then heat embossed it again, and then that's it. That's the whole card. These were a lot of fun. Probably, I might even like these a little bit more than I liked the cards that I made from the Hero Arts kit, just because they're so cute. And I really like the look of that background paper. I did try to use paper from my stash, but I swear I couldn't find anything that I liked using with these guys, so I made my own. But I'm using up stash supplies because I used up the paper that came with the kit. So, so I win. So the next card, or the next 2 cards that I made, we're using the Sunny Studio Sock Hop Stamp and Coordinating Die set. And I showed a card, let me see if I have that one. I do actually still have that one. I showed this card here in my January Hero Arts card share, and you can see this card is one that didn't make the cut for sending out because it has a lot of flaws, and you can see even the I didn't glue down the jukebox well enough in here, so the confetti is underneath it. Ugh. I don't like it. Anyway, I like the concept. I didn't execute it very well, so this is why it's kind of in my reject pile over here still. Anyway, so this is the card that I made, and I had the extra images that I had stamped as I was doing that. So I made 2 more cards with that, and these ones I used for background papers. I did use up some background paper here. I have some Pink Fresh studio papers that I got from Simon Says Stamp like last year when they were doing a big clearance. So I still had a bunch of those papers, so I just went through and found some in color schemes that I liked. So I have this one here with this great sort of ombre red stripe. And then for the background on this one, this is very, you know, 50s, because we've got the poodle skirt and the jukebox and the ice cream sodas. Very 50s. I grabbed from deep within my stash. I have from Sweet Stamp Shop. I have this really great retro background stamp set. These are just tiny little stamps, but they're really fun. They remind, I keep saying whenever I bring this out, it reminds me of the Jetsons, you know, kind of like some of the background stuff that you'd see in the cartoon The Jetsons, if you're old enough to remember what that is. And I took this stamp in particular and I dipped it in some Candied Apple Distress Oxide ink, and then I just did like 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th generation stamping off of that to get kind of this really cool background here. I used a stitched mod rectangle from My Favorite Things. I propped it up with a little foam. I have this young lady driving the car saying hello to the kitty boy, and then on this one they're listening to some music. There's the jukebox, and they're holding their little sodas. And then in the background, I stamped the little music notes that came with the kit. Actually, I forgot that one. I didn't even see that one, or I would have done it too. But the other 3 I stamped right there. So those were fun. And again, on a mod triangle. These actually, because I already had the images colored and die cut, these came together really quickly. And then I finished them off with a couple of really tiny gems from my stash. I recently acquired that the bead organizer that I've been using to hold some gems and things like that, and I found they're like really tiny light gray rhinestones, and I was like, oh, I need to use some of those up. So I decided that was a good place to do them. And the last cards that I have to show you are using the Fruit Stand stamp and coordinating die set. So this is from Avery Elle, and this is also again left over from the kit that I worked with Hero Arts this month, last month technically in January, and I don't happen to have that card next to me to show you. I don't think I mailed it out already. I'm not sure what I did with it. I don't know where it is. It's not right next to me in the drawer here. Oh, here it is. I do have it still. Okay, so this is the card that I made with the Hero Arts kit. And so I just stamped and colored a bunch of images at the same time as I was doing this card. So I had enough stuff to make 2 more cards from here, and I made 2 little birthday cards, which kind of cracked me up because the stamp set comes with this tiny little birdie, so I have the birdie sitting on top of the banners here. So the sentiment that I used is a little birdie told me it's your birthday. And then I just did 2 little farm stand scenes. We have a young girl and her puppy at the farm stand selling some lemonade. And then the sentiment, enjoy the little things here. And then this one is life is sweet. And then the puppy as well and the lemonade. And the difference on this one is she's standing outside of the vegetable booth here. So I propped her up with a little foam to give her a little dimension to the scene. And then that's it. Oh, the card bases that I used for this one are from My Favorite Things paper that I got in the Good Time to Wine kit that I showed you guys. I think it was last month that I got the kit for that. So I have a couple of pieces left, and it's really nice quality paper that's good enough for a card base, so I'm trying to make sure that I use them on something really special. And I pulled in for the plaid here that you see in the background. I also used a My Favorite Things paper pad, their little gingham pad that I picked up not too long ago actually. It's probably in a fairly recent haul. Really pretty, and I really enjoyed pulling these together. And I'm really looking forward to spring and summer coming, so this is definitely helping improve my mood. And then that's it. That's all I've been doing. I'm going to be working on some more origami this weekend. I'm filming this on a Sunday, actually, and more laundry and stuff. And then working on my little knitting on the side. I have some personal projects that I need to do. I still have to make Valentine's Day cards for my husband and daughter, which is something that I will do this week while they're at school. Yeah, and then other than that, I don't have a ton of new projects on the horizon, but I'm sure I'll have some things to show you for February projects in a couple of weeks. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to have links down below to all of the stamp and die sets. But if you have any questions about any other products that I've used or anything that I can help you find, let me know, and I'm happy to point you in the right direction. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.